Hello friends, welcome to VFX Pipeline channel, and my name is Rajiv Sharma, and in this video we will see how we can create command line tools using Python programming language. Okay, so let's start. First of all, in this video what you guys going to be learn, and what I will show you is, first we will talk about what is command line tools, and then we will see what is the advantage of command line tools, so what is the use cases of command line tools, and then we'll see what are the examples of command line tools that is available in your computer right now. Okay, and then we'll see after all this how we can build command line tools with Python, and in the end I will create a simple app where you can understand how command line interface works within Python, and we'll run that into command line terminals or command prompt. Okay, so first, before we start, if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe, so this will appreciate me to create more videos like this, so you will enjoy and learn cool stuff in future. So please subscribe, and let's start. Okay, so whenever I'm talking about command line interface tool, that means there is no user interface for those application. Those application can be run inside command line interfaces like command prompt in Windows and terminal in Linux. So this is just an example of one command line tool where you see a screen, black screen with some commands. And generally it's just English with some instructions. It's not coding, pure coding here. Okay, so first, what is command line interface tool, or we generally say CLI. So this is actually a very scary tool for maybe end user and artist, because you don't artist and very end user guys, they don't want to interact with any kind of command line interface. They just want buttons, a button where they can push and things will work for them. Okay, but that's fine because they are mostly working on the creative side, so that's why they don't want to go inside the back end of things, how the things are going. And simply there is no buttons and clicks involved in this command line tools, so that's why there is no user interface. All right, so this is the command line tool interface, is a interface where there is no graphical user interface involved. This is a normal computer program where user interact, but not with the keyboard and mouse, but with the text or commands. So you just execute your exe or whatever tools you have, and then you need to provide some sort of text in front of arguments. Like I will show you like what is the arguments and all, but it just required some lines of text in commands to execute that. Okay, so the command line tools can be run only inside Windows prompt and terminal. So whenever if you try to execute this directly, you will see a black screen popping up, and either you will see something will not happen. It just open and close. So that's why it's good to start these inside terminal, so actually you guys can see what's going on inside that tool. And don't worry, I will go with the practical demonstration of command line tool, how this thing will work. Okay, so command line tool is actually designed to perform some specific task by providing arguments by user. Okay, what that means is command line tools, whenever you want to run those command line tools, some of them are just straightforward execute and give you some result. And for example, ipconfig. So ipconfig is a command inside Windows. When you execute, need to provide any command line argument, but it will straightforward give you the IP addresses. Okay, so I will show you what I'm talking about. So okay, so here we have this command prompt, and if I type ipconfig, and here you can see that immediately it give me some result. But there are some command line tools that actually required some argument. That means the tool or the software wants some input from end user to perform some task, and one of this example is robocopy. So robocopy is a tool where you can use for copy files from one directory to another directory, and you can use it for backup, saying there are a lot of stuff that you can do. So but once you hit this, it will actually end up with some help or documentation about, hey, how you can use this. You must provide source and destination, something like that. So this is just showing you help. So this application did not perform any task yet. So this is what I was talking about in this line, where these tools are designed to perform specific tasks by providing some arguments by users. And generally system administrators or technical directors use more and more command line tools, because there they can add some script and then they can use it for their day-to-day automated workflow. So this is one of the advantages that we will cover in next video. And anyone can use command line tools. Basically, command line tools is not just like a programming interface. It's just like a simple interface where you will see all the uses instructions, like how you can use this command line tool. Basically, you just add the command line, and after that a command line exe or whatever tools, and then after that you provide arguments in a sequence, and that mostly like mention inside description. Okay, so even if you don't know how to use that, and if you have a command line tool, you can actually use -h or -- help, and that will actually open the help of that command line tool. Not all command line tool actually support this, because some of the tools, if they are not used, they did not build any help with that, then it will not that -h will not be an option. And that you will see when I will show you one practical example. There I will show you both types of methods, with help or without help, how you can create that. Okay, so this is how command line tools is. So now let's just jump. What is the advantage of command line interface tool? So the advantage is it's very useful when you want to automate task by some scripting. So here you might ask, like, automate task by script, because this is just already we created a tool, but why we need a script to actually automate that? But for example, you created a tool, a command line tool, where for example a forensic conversion script you created, it will go and check the API of like dollar to Indian rupees. What is the conversion rate for today? And you can set some rules in that, maybe in your logic, that if the currency goes below 65 or above 65, something like that, then you just send a email notification. So exe you can build with any application. Maybe in our case you can build by Python, but to execute that in a schedule you can use a script. Okay, so that's why it's very helpful to automate tasks by scripting. Command line tools or command line interface tools are generally very lightweight, because there is no user interface involved in this. So whenever you create an application, the majority of the libraries or whatever the files loaded with that application is related to the graphical user interface. And since here we are just using the core library, so that's why we don't need GUI stuff. So that's why it's very lightweight, and you can easily compile and rebuild and ship and give it to others. So it's very useful. So, and CLI can execute the command line tools, or command line interface tool can execute in a scheduled time. So that means, like, since if you have that CLI tool, that you can put it in a scheduler, or maybe you can just write a script, or you can use some automated schedule tool, which is like, one of them is scheduler.exe. So with that, you no need a human to come and click a button on a specific time. So if you want, like, every hour you want to back up a folder from folder A to folder B, you can write a script on top of robocopy, because robocopy will automatically, once you set the time, or at that time, it will take the files from one folder to another folder, and that process will be keep repeating again and again and again. And that's the beauty of command line tools. And if you have a user interface command line, user interface wise a tool where you have a beautiful interface where you have two buttons like copy backup one to A to B, but you need a human or you need a person to actually come and click every hour. So that's why you can easily automate things in a schedule. So and no human interaction required, right? Since there is no GUI elements involved and there is no other complicated stuff within the CLI tools, so generally they are using very less RAM, less CPU and less GPU. I think no GPU at all. So can run multiple instances of CLI on separate threads. So for example, if you have a command line tool and if you want to run that parallelly, you can run with on separate threads. So you can run multiple instances. So if you are in Linux, you can run multiple terminals and execute the same command line tool at the same time. So that's very helpful in terms of execute multiple instances. So example of command line tool interface tool. So like one of the example which I already show you, robocopy, which is used for copy file from one folder to another folder. And you can already see here, we just see this robocopy here, and this is used in Windows. So the Linux we are using rsync. So this is also a command line tools. ipconfig and ifconfig. So ipconfig we use in Windows and ifconfig we used in Linux. And same like CP for copy, MV for move, date, time. There are many command line tools, and all the UIs are actually built on top of these command line tools. So whenever you actually right click, copy and then paste, these in the back, actually these kind of commands are execute inside your operating system. So that's why behind every GUI or graphical interface there are some command line tools which is running to make the software works. Okay, so how we can build these command line tools with Python, and that's the big question. So there are two options with that you can build. The one is you can use sys.argv, and if you are familiar with Python, sysargv is just like you just import system modules, sys module, and after that you just execute you can use sysargv in your code, and what that will return is this will return a list of argument passed by user in a list format. Okay, so all the arguments you can get inside your script in a list format. So I will show you practically. Okay, before going inside my IDE, I want to make some theory clear. Okay, so the next option that we have is using argumentparse, and argumentparse is one of the preferred method to create CLI interface tools, like command line interface tools inside Python, because what you will get, this is a Python module, and where you will get like pre-built help. So automatically it will generate help and uses message for you. So for example, if we again go back and see this robocopy, so during the execution we just see this simple uses, source, and what are the arguments is required. So these all help we can generate by using argumentparse, and that we cannot use using sys.argv. If you're using very simple app that actually you want to catch some of the input by user, then you can go with sys.argv, but that is also very rare. Mostly you will go with argumentparse. Okay, so let's just see what else. Okay, so that's it. This is enough for the theory part, and let's just start our coding in Python. So let me just start my PyCharm here. Okay, so guys, this is a very simple short info script I have, and I will just quickly show you what this script is, and then we will make this script as a command line tool. Okay, so in this script I usually have a dictionary, and in this dictionary is like, let's assume this is we are getting a data in a JSON format through a REST API. So I just create a replicate in my system. And if you don't know about REST API and others, so just forget about this. But just for now, you just understand this is a list, this is a dictionary, and in this dictionary we have some data, and in this dictionary we will query and pop up the result in a message box. Okay, so I created a function where display info, and it's required two arguments. One is short ID, one is query ID. And then we have a then I start with QWidget.Q application, because we need to show this in a Qt message box, so that's why I started a app. Then we get the short info get short ID, so that means from this short info we are getting a the short information. Okay, so in this, it's all about getting the information from this dictionary. And let me just run this. So whenever you want to execute that, there are two arguments is required. One is the short name and the key, and this key is what you want to know. So in this case, I want to know what is the status of short one. So just provide short one status, and once you execute that, you will get this. Short info tool will say short one status is completed. And why this status is completed? Because you see status is completed. And if you want to see the short 3 status, let's just change this to short 3. Okay, let's just run. Okay, so see, short 3 status is new. So this is fine, but we don't want end user to come and open this IDE PyCharm and then they will change this. So we want to create this as a argument parse tool. Okay, so let's start how we can do this. So as I mentioned in our first method, let's just go here. Okay, yeah, so our first method is sys.argv. So let's start with that sys.argv. For now I will just stop this, so don't display with this method. If you want to use sys.argv, then you need to import module import sys. Okay, and let me import our second options also, because later we want to use that. So import arg-parse, and these both libraries are Python default libraries, so you no need to pip install argv, arg-parse and something like that. So once you install Python, they are come out of the box, so no problem. Okay, so now let's just provide with some argv. Okay, so let me just quickly use the main, and in this main I will use arguments equals to sys.argv. that's it. Okay, and then what we will use our function displayinfo, and as I mentioned, this displayinfo required two arguments, short name, short ID and the key. Okay, so we assume that somebody provide argv, but before we see that, let me just quickly print what are the arguments values that we will see. Okay, to get a better understanding, let's just go and execute this inside terminal. Okay, and short info, let me just run through Python shorts info py, hit enter. I'm sorry guys, this terminal looks weird, I don't think so, and I cannot also zoom. So let me just open inside Windows, show in Explorer. Alright, so we have more space here, and then let me open command line tool. Perfect. So this one, Python and shots info, hit enter. So guys, you guys see here it's just showing shortinfo.py in a list. So what this means is if you don't provide any argument, if you don't pass any argument when you execute this, the first argument or the 0th index of this sys.argv is the script name or the application name which you are executing. So now let's just put some 2 or maybe 3 arguments. So let's just run shortinfo.py and let me just hit Rajiv. Rajiv Sharma and VFX pipeline, and if I hit enter, here you guys can see shortinfo.py as on the first 0th index, and then we have Rajiv and Sharma and VFX pipeline. So with that we have actually 4 items in this list, and so now our script can catch these and then we can provide this inside this function. So let me just put this inside, let's just put inside displayinfo. Okay, and sys we have arguments, right? So argument 0 we will not pick because 0 is the name of the script, so we will start with 1 and arg and then second. Okay, so save. Let's just go open our terminal again, and now let's just run this. So we have 2, so if we provide A and B and hit enter, and as usual what we will see, A is not exist because this is in our function says A short is not exist. So you must provide a short which is actually exist in the system. So for example, let's just provide short and then status, and this will show you the status of the short, and that actually you no need to go inside any IDE and you can just run this. Or maybe let's say if you don't have any IDE, you can just straightforward run. So let's say what about other things? So just put short and use assign to, and that will return you this short is assigned to Rajiv Sharma. So this is just one example like how you can use it, but now you guys can ask like this sys.argv is working fine, then why we need that other module which is sys.argumentparser? And here my answer is because here you are, yes, your code is working as expected, but you don't have something like this. So once you provide help, like how your end user or how everyone who is using this tool will understand how they can utilize this tool, or maybe how they can use in the production, and what is the workflow with this tool, and what is the uses of this tool, how many command line arguments are required. So there is no help at all with this, and also you will get some errors, weird errors. So that's why we use the another method, and let's just start with our another method. So let me just minimize this, go back to here, and let me just comment these two. So we will just keep it for our reference, and here I will start with a parser. So whenever you use argumentparser, you start with a parser, and there you say argumentparser dot argumentparser. Okay, and this argument parsers required few arguments. Number 1, which is proc, and proc is the name of your application. So in this time, this is our short info. Short info. So this is like your name of your application, short info. This is your program. The second one is the description, or maybe you can start with usage. So usage, and here you actually provide what is the usage of this application. Sorry, that means how the end user can use, and this uses you can provide in multi-line comments. So with that, user can easily see what is the uses of this. And so we'll say that you provide two arguments. This is something like one example, like provide two arguments. Later we'll see, when we execute, we'll see this in how this will work. Okay, then the third one we'll see there will be a description. Sorry, you should put a comma, right? So then description, and description is the description of your application. I write one description here, let me just copy paste. Okay, so this is my description under multi-line. Okay, so this tool, this is up to you, like how you want to describe your application, but this is what I put in my case. Like this tool will display the short information. Then there is one more, I will copy this part, then it will be much more easier for you, and I will take very less time. Okay, so then there will be a epilogue, and that is actually a copyright information. You can put some other information. This will be displayed in the end of your help. Formatter class is important because we want to display in a multi-line format, and let me just put this also, our multi-line comment in usage. Okay, so here we have the users, pass the shorts data, and you will see something like this. Okay, all right, so that's it. We have enough stuff right now just to configure our command line arguments. Okay, so second thing we need to add is we need to add argument. We just created a parser, but in that parser we need to add some arguments. So now parser dot add arguments. Okay, so parser dot add argument, and like, okay, maybe this time is time to take a pause and let's just run this, then we'll get a idea about what we achieved so far. Okay, so let me open my command line channel. Let me just clear this, and to clear you can use CLS to clear, and shortinfo.py. Just run this, and once you run this, there is no error, there's nothing there. And but if you provide H, and this will also not provide you any help right now, and the reason is you need to add the parser complete. So add argument, and in that add argument, so for in our case I just created two, so let me just copy this here, so we'll get to the point quickly. So parser dot add argument with, so this is the name of the argument, and in our case this is just a short that we want. And the type, you can provide type, and type is actually the type of the argument. In our case this is a string type, and you can just add help also, and this will, for end users, they can get the idea about what the program expect us to actually add some of the argument in what kind of format we want to add. So it's good idea to, you can provide some example like this, like sh001, something like that. And this one I will show you once we see this in an interface, command line interface. Okay, so you can see these two arguments have one difference, and that difference is here I use some dashes, and this dash is make this argument optional. So whenever you want one argument to be compulsory and other will be optional, then you can use these dashes. And I use these two here because I want this to be in like two naming format. Like you can provide full key and also you can just press dash key, and these both will be work fine in this argument. So that's why I use these two, and you can also use and whatever name in whatever you want in your name. And the reason why we did not put any dashes here because this is positional argument, because here this is not optional. That means you have to provide this, otherwise your application will not execute. So there we no need to provide this double dash. But since these are the optional argument and not positional arguments, so wherever you want to declare this, you need to start with these dashes so the application understand what this argument is and where I need to put this. So later, once you get these arguments, what you need to do, from the parser you need to parse this argument back to a variable, and now this variable contain all this short and key. So then we can plug these two inside our display info function. So let's just run our display info, and in display info we will provide two arguments. So one is arg dot short yes, just short, because this is our name, right? That's what we need to get here. And the second one is arg dot key. So don't worry about that, it will not autocomplete if you want to type in any IDE, but that will work fine, absolutely fine. So right now we have these two, our code is almost ready. And let me just quickly recap all this stuff what we did so far. Previously we used sys.argv with display info, these and that, but now we use argparse, and in that argparse we created a parser first, and in parser we added prog usage description epilogue formatter class and add help true, and that's what we want, help to be true. And then we, in that parser, we added two arguments. One is positional argument, which is short ID, and the second one is the optional argument, which is the key, like what you want to query from the dictionary. So that's why I just use key. The name can be anything, whatever you want, so no problem with that. Also we provided a argument here, which is not argument, a option here, which is like required true, and this required true is in that argument. If you want end user to be forcefully add this argument, then even if it is a optional, but there with required true, it will be required, so end user cannot skip this argument. So that's very useful in the app. Then finally we just add the parser arguments inside a variable argument, and we call this in both. Let's just go to our command line and then execute this and see what we have so far. Alright, so once now we execute this with dash h, and you see we are getting some information here which showing the uses, how to use this, and you can pass that blah blah blah, and you can provide some description, and this all description is coming from here. This is the positional argument, and now I will show you this metavar. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I say metavar, I don't know what. So but this is what this name will display here. If you don't provide this, then it will show you this short here. So I just provide this, so the end user understand what is the positional argument and what is the optional argument. Because here you might use a very simple word, but if you want to provide some detailed information, then you can use short ID. Let me just quickly do one thing. Short label ID. So I just modify this, right? So this will give you an idea about. So now you see this is also short label ID. So that's why these both are connected with this. Optional argument is h, which is help, and key which is we created here. This is our argument, and all the arguments with dash is optional. Perfect. We see here copyright as Rajiv Sharma at hqvfx.com, and from where this is coming? This is coming from our argument parser epilogue. So eplog contain whatever you add the things here that will actually display in the end of your help. Okay, so now we will just start with our this application and provide some arguments. So let's just if you don't provide any argument and if you just execute like this, then you will see the user's information, and it will also showing you the error because you the short label ID is required, and also the key is required because we made require to true here in the key. So let me just put required false, and now required false is there. Let's just run this again, and here now you see last time we see this key here, but now there is no key. Now we only have the short label ID. So what will happen if we just provide a short label ID here? So short info and then provide sh002, hit enter, and it will show short status is in progress. And why this is showing in progress? Because we haven't provided any key. Let me just provide a key and then we'll see why this happens. So we just provide short 2 and then we want to see assign 2. So short number 2, and I want to see who is working on this. So then assign 2 is okay. So whenever you provide a optional argument, right? So this is not positional argument, this is an optional argument. So you need to provide what you are saying. So this is a key, and or whenever you provide a optional argument in your command line tool, then you must start with double dash and the name of the argument, and then assign to, hit enter. Now you see that short 2 is assigned to Sapna, and maybe short 1 assigned to Rajiv. So with this you can actually send the commands, send the arguments to your application, whether it is optional or whether it is positional, but you can say just send. But you remember one thing, because in short 1 we just provide just optional this positional argument short 1, and it is printing status is completed. Why? And the reason is we provided a default value for this argument, and this is status. Let's just change to assign 2, and if I change this to assign 2, go back to our command line panel, and if I run this, it will showing me this is assigned to this Rajiv Sharma or whatever name. Okay, maybe you can just start with short 3 is assigned to Ayan. Very interesting, right? So with that you can actually create very interesting command line tools with Python, and you can use it inside Studio, and wherever you want to use you can utilize that. And if you are wondering how this entire script is working, like what is the function behind that to display the content from here, status and assign to, because in my case I just use status and assign to, but in real world there will be like tons of columns where you want to see modified date, start date, end date, creation date, approval date, and also like a status, who is working on, who assigned to, who created. There are many tables, many things that you want to query, and with these kind of command line tools you can easily query things. Just for demonstration I just use this pop-up window, but there are other things that you can use, like you can actually, if it is your employee database, you can query the email address of the person through command line tools to automate the email notifications. Possibilities are way more, so you can't even think. So but this is what the important facts about command line tools, and this is how these tools are making our life easy. Let me just quickly see this help also we already see, but again, so with this help we can see what is the use case. But right now still this is a Python application and we can't ship this, and people, even if you are shipping this, they will see the code and they can mess around with the code, because we can't trust the end users, right? Okay, so for that what we will do, let's just go back to our command line tool. Okay, I just closed that. Let me just open this here, and let's just compile this and make a exe, so then it will work. as it is, like we are, because right now what do you have to do, we need to say python shortinfopy, and when we enter, that's fine. So what if the end user don't have python installed, then they can't execute this. So let's just convert this to a exe, and then we'll execute that. So we will use py installer, and with you can use shortinfo.py, one file. And you know, this py installer is also a kind of a command line tool which actually convert our file. And here I provide a argument which is the positional argument is the script name, and one file is the optional argument, because that's what I want here, right? So also you can take this as a example of our main idea about this entire command line tool. So py installer, very good command line tool to convert the python file, py file, to exe. And all these files is actually is generating inside this build, and later here you can see this, all the crappy stuff will be here, but once your app is done, it will be contained inside dist. So since there is no GUI involved in this, so it will be very easy method to see. I hope it should be fine. Okay, almost close. Oh, building package. So now it's a building package complete. So inside dist, still there is no file. Still there is no file. Okay, so now the file must be here. So here you can see the shortinfo.exe. so this is our command line tool, shortinfo, which will display the thing as it is, and end users no need Maya to be installed in their system. So what they can use is they can just use this, and once they run this, they will see the one interface will open, but automatically close by usage. So now if you clear, just drag into any command prompt. So that means you are having this full path of this shortinfo.exe, and hit enter. So one thing you notice, this is now shortinfo.exe, but we haven't called Python before we execute that. So that's why this is the advantage of this. So let's just start from this folder, so much more easier. So shortinfo.exe, hit enter, and if you use H, this will show you the full help. And if you say, and this will show you short to assign to Sapna. So this is a command line tool in AEXE format, you doing the same thing. But of course, if you want to edit anything, then you go back to your Python code and then do your changes, and after that recompile. PyInstaller will do it for you, and then you can use this command line tool in your short production. So there are many other areas where you can utilize that. And what's your idea about using the command line tool inside any types of situation? You guys comment below, and I also want to know that where you guys are using these command line tools, your custom command line tools, because we already have a lot of pre-built command line tools available in Windows, Linux, Mac. But if you are building your pipeline stuff, then it's a good idea to create your own command line tools that will automate more work inside your workflow. Okay, so guys, this is it for this video, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe this video, and that will very helpful for me, and I will create more similar informative videos for you guys. Thank you very much. I will see you in my next videos. Goodbye.